Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sterling Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am Sterling's social media manager, and we come to you week after week live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, delivering you such great content with great guests. And as you can see above me are even, two new guests for this week. We haven't had either of these individuals on yet, so I'm very excited to have some new folks here for sure. So I do want to go ahead and get into it, and leave no time behind and just introduce our new guest. So today we have Pam Sutton. She is our client success partner for Sterling Volunteers, and Lee Doucette, manager of youth protection program at First. And today we're talking about innovative advancements in volunteer programming. So I'm very excited for today's topic, and more so, I'm excited to have Pam and Lee on with me. So I'm going to have the two of them introduce themselves to our audience to get to know a little bit more about them, their roles, our partnership with Sterling Volunteers and First, and everything else that you'd like to tell our audience. So Pam, I'll start with you. Can you please let our audience know a little bit about your role with volunteers, the volunteers mission, our partnership, anything you want to let them know?
Sure. Thanks, Caitlin. As Caitlin mentioned, my name is Pam Sutton, and I'm a client success partner here at Sterling. And I've been with Sterling for over 10 years now. So I work with a variety of clients to help manage their employment and their volunteer background screening programs. As you know, Sterling's mission is to make the world a safer place and help create those safer environments. So Sterling Volunteers division that I work for is dedicated to helping nonprofits better fulfill their missions by reducing the time and costs associated with volunteer screening. Our platform's self-service features, sharing capabilities, and management tools really make the background screening process easy peasy. And Sterling Volunteers really has built a strong partnership with First for over 5+ years. I very much enjoy working with Lee to help manage their screening program.
That's great. And I'm, very excited to learn more about the partnership, to learn more about First. And Lee, that is why you're our other guest today. So I'm so happy to introduce you to our audience. Can you please let them know a little bit more about yourself, about First, and anything else you'd like to let them know?
Sure. Thank you, Caitlin. I actually have been with First for a little over 10 years as well.
It's the perfect match.
And for the past 5 years, Sterling has been our screening agency of choice. And they do make it easy peasy. I screen over 30 or 40,000 people a year. And I'm a person of just one desk, one phone. So yeah, without them, we couldn't do what we do. We rely heavily on volunteers and at First, and they make it super easy.
Yeah. Well, listen, so far off to a great start. I've already loved the conversation and everything that you've both said in the last minute or so. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this topic. I know the both of you have a lot to deliver to our audience. So again, our topic is innovative advancements in volunteer programming. So let's go ahead and get into it. But real quick, I do want to remind our audience on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, if you're watching live right now, you can ask questions to both Pam and Lee, and I will get them the questions over to them as I see fit throughout the show. So go ahead, go to the comment section, ask your questions, and we'll get them there. We'll get them answered for sure. So I want to start, Lee, I have a couple of questions for you around First, because I do want to do a bit of an update in regards to the pandemic and everything going on right now. So my first question, right now, what is the current state at First amid COVID-19?
The current state, I would say we're focused on being nimble. Mm-hmm. We have plans for no programming at all because people can't get together, all the way to live programming where that feels like normal. And then everything in between. We've developed online platforms so that teams can meet virtually with their mentors. They can do their judging competition, the parts of the competition that are judged by live bodies. They can do that all online, giving them the ability to shorten a 3-day event into a 1-day event, which greatly reduces the exposure, keeps everybody safer. And these are things that I think will continue after the pandemic. For sure, I spoke with a woman yesterday who had volunteered in North Carolina, Michigan, Israel, and Turkey. so taking away the need to travel,
Right.
and you can still be a judge at experiences all over the world has gotten volunteers really excited. So
yeah, breaking down that barrier for sure, and actually opening a little bit more for opportunities to go and volunteer. So that's a great example. So can you elaborate more on the STEM volunteer landscape? So I know you just touched on it briefly there, but would love to know a little bit more. How is it, leaders and staff at first, or even people within these STEM programs, like what's the mindset? Like what's going on with that right now?
Well, we lean heavily into science. And we can see the changes that are happening regionally all around the world, and how success and working with science to manage the pandemic, how much impact that has, and what a positive experience it can be. And it's definitely a lot more work to add all of the different components, but it's been a challenge that I think our leadership has just leaned into heavily, where our sponsors have come forward with donations to help create these online platforms. It's actually the energy of FIRST is even stronger, if that's possible. From our volunteers to our sponsors, the students are so excited about getting back into in-person competitions, just to being able to meet all the other teams and spend that time together. So I would say we're in positive flexibility, nimbleness mode. We're ready.
Yeah, it's really great to hear that, the mindset is positive. All of us have had to make so many different shifts, and a lot of different shifts over the past year or so. So it's good to see that the mindset's good. It's positive. You guys are moving forward. So you briefly just mentioned, the students getting excited to go back to in-person competition. I know one of the biggest things on your end over the past year was pivoting to online competition. So, how was that? Can you just explain that to our audience, what it looked like, and then how, kind of the online competition came to life?
So for the younger age groups, for First Lego League and First Tech Challenge, they were able to do their entire competition online with individual judging sessions, as well as videotaped robot rounds. What's the robots competing with each other? For the older kids, they did their project and engineering notebook competition online, but it's really hard to simulate 6 100-pound robots doing what they do. So, but we did develop some other challenges for them that they could work on that wasn't necessarily the robot, but even though we know they built their robot, and we know that a lot of them took that robot and all of the gameplay from previous season and has spent the summer and fall doing that for practice. So it wasn't wasted. And again, we're moving into in-person competitions with an audience, but if that's going to be still dictated by the pandemic, how many people are the venues going to allow to be in one room? It's, again, nimbleness and flexibility. We can slice and dice the project and the programs and how we run them as needed, but it's going to require a lot more work for our program delivery partners in the field, for sure. So at headquarters, we're focusing on what do we need to do to support them? What do they need to be able to make these decisions in a timely fashion, so that teams have a chance to plan? Are they going to travel? Are they not going to travel? There's just lots of questions that trickle down from wherever they are and whatever the situation is. So.
Well, definitely great to see that, the in-person is coming back. There's definitely things that a lot of details and a lot of questions, like you said, that have to be answered and laid out, but very exciting to get back to somewhat of a normal cadence for, the students, volunteers, things like that.
Exactly.
So our topic is, innovative advancements in volunteer programming. So that's actually the next area that I do want to go to. So thank you, Lee, for that pandemic update for FIRST. For sure. So Pam, I'm going to come to you. So I just wanted your thoughts, around leadership and tech-enabled solution and programming advancements, just, overall thoughts on that.
Sure. Well, Sterling Volunteers has really streamlined the volunteer screening process, which empowers organizations to onboard volunteers faster than ever before. Volunteers can get verified quickly. They can share their background check online with just a few easy clicks. First enjoys turnaround times with completed background checks returned in just a half a business day so that they can onboard volunteers swiftly. But I think, First really shines in that innovative solution space. They launched that remote event hub, which is a virtual competition platform for the kiddos. And I was just really inspired when Lee told me the story of how they did that so quickly. So Lee, tell us all about that great partnership with Lego and how this quickly came about.
Please do.
Yeah, Lego Education, as obviously because it's in our name. First Lego League and First Tech Challenge do work with Lego components and Lego robot brains, if you want to call them that. They came up with this concept of, well, we're going to have to be able to go virtual, but we want it to be a closed environment where you can't get in unless we let you in. Plunking the kids down in the middle of a virtual world is like leaving them in Times Square and saying, good luck. We didn't do that.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, with generous sponsorship by Lego Education, we were able to build the platform. We obviously hired an outside engineering company to help design it from Atom Group. And it was amazing to us that it was put together in like 2 to 3 months. It was, we've been working out little glitches over time, but it's now pretty much ready for the road. It's had all of its kinks worked out, and it's functional and flexible.
It's such a great example, and I love that story, and I love how it has come to life and everything there. I would like to go if Lego wants to invite me to go, and love to see that firsthand for sure. So when it comes to these these new programs, these virtual competitions, it's great to hear how outside organizations are feeling about it, how employees at First, how you, Lee, in particular, are feeling about everything. But what about the volunteers? What is their mindset on going all in on these virtual competitions? Any programs that they're lending a hand to? I just and what they're doing too actually would be very helpful to understand.
Yes, and what they're doing is all over the map for sure. When you look at regions of the world where kids are back in school, things are pretty much normal. They're meeting as a team and developing their robot and their plan for the competition as we speak. In terms of using the online platforms, I think everyone's a lot more comfortable with it this year than they were last. First Tech Challenge developed a scoring system, which made it much easier for people to be watching a gameplay on video and still be able to, they usually walk around with a clipboard,
right,
and then talk about it with the referees later. But to be able to keep score in real time was a great advantage to them. It made it possible for them. Their robots are a lot smaller than the 100-pound ones, so they were able to fit all that within a video screen monitor. So I'm trying to think of First Lego League is it's so compact that they can pretty much go anywhere. They're a 6x8 table and half a dozen kids, so they're pretty flexible. But even so, last year when schools were shut and everyone was homeschooled, they made use of cohorts. Teams would become cohorts, and those families would commit to being in that cohort, so those teams could actually meet. And that worked out really well for them. So they got to have a fairly normal season in terms of the time spent with their team and spent building and testing and all of that.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think it's a really good segue into what I want to talk about next with the both of you, because we're talking about, these volunteers and everything that we've, all the shifts that we've been making over the past year. So if we try to look to the future, we want to make sure that our volunteers are continued to be engaged with us. We're sustaining that engagement. So Lee, my question to you is, what are some of the other strategies that First had to rethink over the past year? And then also, are you prepared to pivot as needed to make sure that volunteer engagement and programming is sustained in the time to come?
Yeah, volunteer engagement and recovery is something we talk about every day. What are we going to do to excite people who've been, as we picture it, not with us, where it's important to be? How are we going to engage them and get them excited again? And I have to say, we're working on great plans to do that, to keep them engaged and communicating with us and reaching out to them, but not just from headquarters, but from our 200 and some odd program delivery partners all over the map. It was interesting. Yesterday, one program said that they have had an amazing response from volunteers when they send a personalized handwritten note after each event. And that sounds like, really simple. It's such a simple concept, but it, even just writing the thank you builds strength between you and that volunteer. So it's the newsletter, it's the monthly meetings, it's the training after hours. We've been holding office hours after hours, so people can call in with their questions and concerns about, whether it's screening or getting volunteers for their particular event. How I need more judges. Where can I find them? And we have the remote judge app that we developed, where teams can look for mentors from all over the world. If they need a technical mentor or electrical engineering mentor, they can just go onto this app and find somebody who may be in Australia, but they volunteered to mentor. So it's from my aspect, from my desk, when I look at the screening that comes across every day, the excitement feels real. It feels like we're now triple where we were last year at this time in terms of new volunteers and renewing volunteers. I talked with a gentleman the other day who's well into his 80s, and he was excited about coming back.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. I love these examples, on a lot of these episodes, we have great Sterling Live content all the time. I truly love when we bring our partners and clients within the volunteer space in, because the stories are so real and they're so great. And I think, I know you said that example just made me feel really good. And I'm so happy to hear that you are sustaining your volunteer base. You're having new people come in. It's really exciting, and it's very, I'm like blanking on the words. It's motivating. It should be motivating our audience that they can go out and there's opportunities there. So love to hear that for sure. So with these volunteers that are coming back and new ones, does FIRST have plans, as we shift into more in-person, events and volunteer opportunities, things like that? Does your organization have plans to keep it hybrid, as we move towards maybe a quote unquote, maybe some more normal times, or is the hopes to get fully back into in person if you can?
Well, I think everybody would prefer to be in person.
Yeah.
It's just the excitement level is just it's like nothing else to see that many kids having that much fun.
Right.
But there are aspects of the virtual world that make things possible that were not otherwise possible. I mean, last winter I got an email that came across my desk as, we're looking for volunteers in Greece. Who wants to go? It's like, that could become a thing where people actually are traveling. When we get back to 100% being able to travel, that's exciting to me. And I don't think that would have occurred to anybody prior to the pandemic. That was something that was just accidental. Like, I could go to Greece and volunteer. So and again, we've developed templates and checklists and tools for our program delivery partners to assess what's going on in their region, to see what the CDC is saying, what are the local, what's the governor saying about activities in the state. Is it 100% mask? Is there a limit on the number of people in the room? Just be able to walk through those step by step and say, oh, well, this is the niche we're in. This is our situation. Here's my checklist of what I need to do. So it's everything from clean, now besides just cleaning the engine, the safety glasses, we are also cleaning down the registration desk and doing health checks as people come in and taking temperatures. It's just trying to make it as easy as possible for people to manage that flow of traffic with those added tasks.
Yeah. Definitely
So,
a lot to look into.
a lot of planning.
Yeah, all for good cause for sure. So Pam, from a Sterling Volunteers standpoint, how are we continuing to help partners, clients facilitate this, move to in person, to keeping hybrid, maybe staying virtual completely? How are we helping there?
Sure. Technology-driven solutions are going to be king here, right? And we continue to support First background screening program in that manner. We not only deliver completed fast background check results, but volunteers can share their background checks with other nonprofits in the network. And our platform captures volunteer contributions. So one of the key things that First enjoys is over 19% of First volunteers contribute to their background check cost. So they've been able to offset their screening program costs. And that's another testament to First's very dedicated volunteers. I've witnessed them firsthand in action at live events, and they are just so inspired and willing to help. And, it helps the bottom line for nonprofits when those contributions come in.
Love that for sure. So let's talk about, let's look at programming at a global level, and let's talk about potential challenges that we might see for global programming. So Lee and Pam, this question is for the both of you, but I do want to start with you, Lee. So can you tell us about First global community? So volunteers, types of roles, number of people, remote, in person, so just the entire community you have.
Well, we're in, I think it's a little over 100 countries.
Oh, wow.
And depending on the density of population in those countries, the program may look quite different. And to run an event, there's a list of all the various positions you need to make an event happen. You need referees, you need a commentator, you need someone to do the setup and the tear down. You need people to monitor safety glasses. You need all of those roles. And depending on how many teams are actually competing, there's a certain number of those that you need. The judges are very key, obviously. And one of the things that I mentioned before about the woman who volunteered in 4 different countries last season, virtually, we are also seeing that the ability to do that is also giving us a great insight into where our programs kind of diverge or do things a little differently, and to experience what those changes are and possibly incorporate them into the platform itself. But just broadening our understanding of who we are and what we do globally, besides it just being a number of countries and a bunch of 100 flags hanging from a dome. We actually getting to work with these folks on a regular basis, and that I think will be a very positive change for First. I think that's going to be the next step for this incredible program that was put together to change the world, and it feels like it's doing it.
Yeah, Pam, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, First has such a global presence, and Sterling offers international criminal country-specific background screening, to support First global screening needs. We already do screening in Canada for them, and I know we're going to probably expand into Europe and Asia for them. So, we've got a wide global screening program that can support however they choose to expand.
Absolutely. So I know we've brought up a couple of real-time examples so far throughout the show, and they've been truly great. But, from an entire global programming standpoint, Lee, are there any other, success stories, case studies, impact studies that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, sure. We've, for the last 5 years, I think, we've done an impact study. Brandeis University has done an impact study on the impact of our programs on students through high school and into college. And now that we're seeing alumni from colleges coming back through this study, and it's updated each year. And I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it's like students, especially female students, are twice as likely to go into a STEM field in college or to pursue a career in engineering than if they've been in our program for a year or more, rather than students who haven't been in our programs at all. So it's very clear that whether a student has been in the program and pursues a career in engineering right off the bat in college, or they get into college and switch over to something in the sciences, it's the percentage is very high, which is why our focus on our youth, our younger youth, has gotten stronger and stronger. We have over 20,000 first Lego League teams, whereas our big robot teams we're looking at in a non-pandemic year over 6,000. So that's a huge number of people that are being reached at a really young age, to get them excited about STEM and having that be real to them, like and they can feel the change. We have a video that is Dean Kamen, our founder, at a large event with students all milling around him, and he's signing autographs and signing shirts and whatnot, and these kids are just, thank you for changing my life. And they, it's over and over and over again, you made such a difference in my world. So
yeah, it's such a great thing to hear that. I do love that. Again, I know I've been loving all of your examples with that one too. It really does touch, on a lot of emotions. It just shows the importance of organizations like this, programs like this, the importance of volunteering. So again, getting that out there. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. So we are here today because of the strong partnership between Sterling Volunteers and FIRST. So as we, wrap up the show, I do want to touch on that because, and the idea of building trust and safety through these types of partnerships. So Pam, I'll come to you first. So why are partnerships so important when it comes to building trust and safety?
No, I absolutely agree. It's just vital and key. We have a strong working relationship with FIRST, and Lee is just an absolute delight to work with. And we have appreciated the close partnership we've built with FIRST over the years.
Lee, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that was one of the things that was so attractive about Sterling. We didn't take it the task lightly of finding somebody to screen our volunteers, because we didn't want our volunteers to feel like they were being subjected to something unpleasant. And Sterling, they're caring about partnership, and they're caring about people feeling safe. Falls right into our code of conduct. I mean, that's what we're about too, is creating a predictable, fun working environment where kids can learn and grow without any tension or confusion, where everybody knows that they have their roles and they can work together and they can grow together without any major complaints or disruptions.
Absolutely. So I think let's expand upon that a little bit more. Both great responses for sure. So Pam, I'll let you expand on just, our partnership in general between Sterling Volunteers and FIRST. What does the screening program actually look like? Has it grown over the past couple of years? Just kind of giving our audience a little bit more intel into the partnership.
Yeah, we really strive for excellent customer service and fast response times. And I think that's key to our clients' continued success. FIRST has a high volume of background checks. And they, of course, want to onboard those folks as soon as possible. So it's truly a team effort between fulfillment, quality assurance, to client support, getting those background checks, back to them as quickly as possible. And just that trust and the partnership and the overall program, and a close working relationship. Lee and I talk frequently and make sure we're delivering what they need to continue to do the great things they do in the world.
Yes, exactly. Lee, do you have anything to add in regards to our partnership?
Well, I can say that when we look for a partner, we interviewed probably 20 screening agencies, and the personal response and the responsiveness of the Sterling staff is just phenomenal. I know that I can pick up the phone or send off a quick email and get a question answered within minutes. It's truly phenomenal, and the level of accuracy is something that I count on. I mean, if we're pivoting from a virtual event to a live event, obviously those event managers are going to need 5 different positions filled that they weren't going to have if it was a virtual event. So being able to get somebody through screening that quickly, and being able to trust the results and feel confident is key. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without that.
Well, thank you for that incredible piece of feedback. I was clearly smiling the entire time you were talking. We, as an organization, love to hear that and are so happy to always share that positive feedback from clients, with everyone. So truly, thank you there. So one final thing from me, and then I'll kick it back to our audience if they have any questions. This isn't really a question; it's just a statement. I want to get both of your thoughts on, if you have any. So we like to think that nonprofit organizations, their greatest asset is the people who go out every day and serve that mission. So Pam, I'll start with you. Just overall thoughts on that statement.
Oh my gosh, yes. One of Sterling's core values is it's all about people. And having worked for 2 nonprofits and myself in the past, nonprofit organizations are, near and dear to my heart. They're filled with passionate people who are eager to further that organization's mission, and they often wear many different hats and roles in that organization. So it's truly a pleasure to be of assistance to FIRST, and they make such a difference in the world. And as Lee spoke to some of just even those stats, it's just inspiring. I've been at some of their live events, and FIRST really does inspire. It's in their URL name, firstinspires.org, and it's really just heartwarming to be a part of their program. And I love working with Lee and FIRST.
Lee, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know if we're all frozen or it's just Caitlin.
I think it's just Caitlin.
Oh, wow. So how are you doing,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Am I back? Okay. See, you always got to get ready for those technical glitches. It can happen. I heard you guys, though. You were doing great. So I just wanted to see, Lee, if you had any thoughts on that statement as well.
Well, I echo it completely. It's great working with Pam and the rest of the crew at Sterling, and I can't say it enough. We couldn't do what we do without Sterling and their efficiency and responsiveness.
Thank you. So I want to remind our audience, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, if you are streaming in live with us right now, not only thank you, but if you do have any final questions for Pam and Lee, please go ahead and put them in the comment section across all 3 of these platforms, and I'll get them over to them. While we wait for any potential questions to come in, this was a amazing episode, smiling ear to ear the entire time, some great conversations with the 2 of you. But I do want to gather just some final thoughts as we, exit this week's Sterling Live. So Lee, thank you for joining us today. Would love to come to you first and get any final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts. Thank you for doing these.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch a lot more of them now.
Good.
and encourage everyone else to. I think just keep up the good work and stay tuned.
Well, if you guys don't mind seeing me week after week, then please, yes, come. Like Leah just said, I really appreciate that feedback for sure. Pam, any final thoughts for our audience?
Oh, just thanks for listening. It's been fun today. And, I have to say thanks to FIRST for doing what you do. You guys are just, you guys rock. So
it's an amazing crew. Yeah.
It is an amazing organization. And we'll have to bring back Lee for some more of those inspiring stories that she gets privy to running the program. So Thanks for all you do.
Absolutely. I don't want to stop hearing them. Our audience doesn't want to stop hearing them. So yes, the invite is always open. Please come back for sure.
Thank you.
As we close out the episode, I want to leave our audience with a couple of websites so you can learn more about Sterling Volunteers at sterlingvolunteers.com. And then also FIRST, it is firstinspires.org. So you can learn more there. We're on social media. You can contact us at any time, learn more there as well. But as I said moments ago, incredible episode. Thank you both so much for joining me. Thank you to our live audience across social media and those who are watching or listening on demand. Thank you so much for joining us week after week. But again, Pam and Lee, it was an absolute pleasure. And I really appreciate you coming on Sterling Live.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.